For over a decade, Sandra Gal was Germany's ambassador to professional golf, a University of Florida star who made that clutch 2-foot putt to become only the second German ever to win on the LPGA Tour.
One of the best players in the world. She fully deserves to be the Kia Classic champion.
She represented her country at the Olympics, battled for major championships, and played for Team Europe against America's best in 2 Solheim Cups. Through her consistent competitive edge, Sandra became the 33rd best-ranked woman golfer in the world. But behind the victories and world rankings is a story of a champion's body rebelling against her dreams. So how does an athlete keep believing when mind and body are in complete disconnect? How do you rebuild your swing, your life, and your identity when you can barely walk to the practice range? I'm Cheyenne Woods, and you're listening to Real Game, Episode 3, Real Healing with Sandra Gal. Welcome, Sandra, to the show.
Thank you.
I'm honored to have you because honestly, you have always been one of the best players out of Europe, out of Germany. How was that as an amateur and then as professional, having that pressure of a country behind you?
I don't think I was very aware of it. I was like so much in my bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and I never thought maybe I was as good as I was. I always had this like feeling of I was looking up to other people on tour.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really aware of what was going on too much, in my home country or who was watching, certainly in some ways. But um, I think when I really started feeling is when we went to the Olympics, right? And then we're representing the country, and it had a whole different feel to it.
Right.
Or at the Solheim Cup, or that's where I definitely felt the nerves. Yeah, it was an honor to kind of be at the top of my country for many years, and um, I think hopefully inspiring some of these new German golfers, and there's a lot of them right now.
Mm-hmm.
And they weren't. I was, I think, maybe the second or third one from my country, and now there's tons that made it on tour.
Yeah, that's got to be cool for you to see as, being one of the veterans on the LPGA Tour to now see the up-and-coming Germans that are playing so well, and I'm sure you're proud and,
Mhm.
you know, being one of the first has to be difficult. Was there always that vision of the life that you wanted coming out of Germany and playing in the States? How do you chase something you might not have seen before?
Yeah, there was not a vision, and we also did not have women's golf on TV growing up. So I really was loving watching the men's golf, but I had no idea what the competition looks like or what life in America looks like. I never spent time here. And so it was all kind of like a big journey into the unknown. And I just had this gut feeling of
Mm,
I really want to come to the States. And I didn't know what was going to happen. So coming over here for college was just kind of like a dream come true. Like it was a
mm,
dream in the like making as I was doing it. It wasn't like
right.
something I dreamed of when I was a little girl. So when I was in college, then I saw what the competition looked like, and
Mhm.
it was definitely, a whole step higher than it was in Europe. And I think then once I started being successful in college, I gained confidence, but I
Mhm.
still felt like, even though I was, I think, top 3 in the country in college, I still felt like, what does it look like on the LPGA? I have no idea. I
Right.
thought it was like a whole other
No other leap.
level, a
Mhm.
league, yes. And so I was very intimidated my first year. Um, and so it was just, I felt like being in the moment, taking one foot in front of the other. It wasn't really, I had this plan, I knew what to expect, and I
Mhm.
came out there with a bang. It was really like just step by step learning and
Figuring it
growing with
out.
it.
And sometimes I think that is a blessing in disguise,
Mhm.
where you're fully in the moment of, I'm just gonna go and see what happens and give my best and not have expectations.
Mhm.
And it sometimes relieves yourself of that pressure that you might feel, even if you are one of the first from a whole country.
Yes.
But you mentioned LPGA, and you did earn your LPGA status. Was it your first time at Q School?
Yep. Mhm.
Which is rare and an
Mhm.
amazing accomplishment. And if you look at your career, we actually have a graph of your career based on world rankings. based on when you started your career to today. And so this is what the Sandra Gal career looks like.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
So that's your graph. Yeah. And I have to be honest. I have to be honest. We've graphed careers with other guests, and yours is the most consistent
Oh,
we've had. And when I saw it, I was like, how has she stayed so consistent throughout her entire playing career? Did you realize that you had that consistency of play? Did it feel like you were as consistent as your stats show?
I think I had a very consistent. Well, I no, I didn't because I felt like the beginning was kind of rocky, and then I had this span of years that was very consistent at a very high level, and then I started to struggle at some point, and then it kind of slowly dropped off. So
Mhm.
sometimes that part of my career is something that I wish was different.
Mm,
But I realize also in hindsight that everyone goes through these, ups and downs, and you can't, unless you're one of very few select, can stay up there for, 10, 15 years.
mhm.
So my period of really good, consistent golf, yeah, I guess it's always relative, right? Like, I
Right.
think I will compare myself to some of the players who are up there for 10, 15 years, and I'm thinking, "Oh, it's, not that long," but I guess, yeah, if I look at it this way, there was a time where I was just very, very focused on just doing anything I could to improve, and all my energy was so laser focused on golf, and there was really not much else in my life that I had time for or energy for.
And you mentioned early on in turning professional that it was rocky. I know there is a learning curve transitioning to the LPGA. It can be intimidating, it can be scary, it can be just kind of figuring out the lifestyle. What was that rockiness for you?
Um, it was, I think, not having quite figured out how to grow and what I needed to get better. I think I was very much too much focused on my mistakes. I was afraid to lose my card. I was
Mm,
just not in the right mindset, and I also um overdid practice. I overdid
mm,
entering too many tournaments. There was just so many rookie mistakes because I'm not coming from a family that knows professional sports. So my family, my of course my team, some of my team knew about it, but I was very close to my dad who supported me a lot in my career, and I don't think we really knew what's best for me. And then I had to figure it out myself and kind of,
mm.
you know, push some buttons on my dad and say, "This is not how I wanna do it. I wanna do it this way." And so slowly we grew and we learned.
Were your parents your main support system in that time as well while you
Yeah.
were here in the States? I know you mentioned that this was a new environment for you. You'd never been to the States outside of college,
Mhm.
but competing and traveling,
Yeah.
that was so new for you.
Yeah, definitely. I got very lucky that I met one of my best friends in college, and we just had a great team. I felt really good there. But then transitioning to pro golf, I was very lucky to have my dad by my side and take care of kind of the business side of things,
Mhm,
and also just travel with me and just have someone to vent to, or have like a shoulder to lean on. And
mhm.
um I was just the kind of personality who really needed that.
Yeah,
um
and like you said, when you're going through the rocky times and you're trying to figure out that learning curve of what works for you in this environment, how long did that take for you to figure out? And how did you know when it was working?
I felt like it was a whole career process, and
Never
yeah,
ending.
it's never ending. And I definitely, my dad and I definitely bumped into each other a lot. And then at some point, I think during my best years, it kind of mellowed out, and
Mhm,
there was like a great synergy. And when I knew it was working is when I was getting into the flow very
mm,
often at tournaments, and I felt this kind of harmony when I was playing and when I was practicing, and I just felt a lot of joy in life in general. It was,
mm,
for me, it wasn't just on the course, it was also off the course when I found
mhm,
some harmony within myself, within how I perceived the world, and I wasn't pushing too much, but I was working hard. It was just
mhm.
this like perfect sweet spot. Um, and I didn't have it early on, and I didn't have it towards the end of my career. But in the middle, there was this, great few years where, a lot of things were flowing.
It's so interesting because you hear people say flow all the time, especially when they play some of their best rounds or they have their best performances. You get into this flow state. Was there something specific that allowed you to click with that harmony and that flow, or was it just finding a good balance of
Mm.
on and off?
No, it was like a deep soul search for me
Mhm.
because I was always a player who, kind of like high anxiety player. And I felt a lot of pressure and I felt a lot of expectations and fear of failing. So I saw a lot of different people that I, sought out to help me. And I didn't never really felt like anyone could give me a specific answer.
Mm,
It was very much kind of these phrases that you've probably heard of, trust yourself and stay present and all of these things that my question was always, but how do I actually do that?
right.
How do I do that when I'm out there, when I'm over the shot? And so it became this fascinating journey of figuring it out myself by reading a lot of books, by experimenting with things.
Mhm.
And I think during this time, I um I think my whole worldview kind of shifted once I read this one book. I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of him, but
Mhm.
this book really changed my life. It was from Deepak Chopra.
Mm.
You might have heard of him.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized that we're all connected. Everything is connected.
Mhm.
And the universe kind of works for you, is
Mm.
always supporting you, just like your
Yeah.
cells and everything in your body always works in your favor.
Yeah.
Like if you have an injury, you heal,
Mm.
and you're being breathed and your heart beats, right? So the same way that's how the universe works. And before that, I thought I was in it myself. I
Mm.
thought it was just me against
Yeah.
the world, and it felt just so lonely and hard, and I was just pushing in so much fear. And I literally remember this one time when I read the book and I lay in bed and I all of a sudden felt this immense
Wow.
support of like, oh my goodness, I just have to have an intention, feel it, and then let go. And I'm gonna have this support. And from then on, I really pursued that. And I experimented with manifestation
Mm.
and really feeling what I wanted to accomplish as if it already happened.
Right.
And That's then I had this feeling of golf is playing through me, like something's playing through me versus I'm alone in there and I have to have the
Mhm.
perfect swing
Fighting
and I'm
everything.
fighting and I'm pushing.
And that almost allows you to not lose control, but not feel like you're
Yeah.
having to force
Yeah.
things to happen,
Yeah.
and you can play more free,
Yeah.
and you can enjoy what you're doing. And it's so interesting to hear that you were going to experts who, you would think have an easy fix, something to help you right in that moment, and you had to look internally to,
Yeah.
you know yourself best, and you found the answers that you needed.
Mhm.
Was this early on in your LPGA tour career, or how far along?
Well, the first time it kind of clicked was late in 2010, and
Mhm.
then pretty early in 2011 I won.
Yeah.
And then I kept exploring all of these ideas for many years.
Wow.
Um and of course I picked up ideas and things from experts in the field as well, and then I played with them, but I always had to make them very specifically mine, and,
Mhm.
um, yeah.
You have to have a large sense of trusting yourself to go down this journey, right?
Yes.
Did you always have that trust within yourself?
It's an interesting question because on, like, a surface level, I doubt myself all the time, and I would consider myself, at least back then, more so than now, quite insecure in so many ways.
Mm.
Yet there was this really deep seed of knowing that I'm gonna be really good at golf. And, like,
Mhm.
I know I could even though I didn't accomplish all that I wanted, I felt like I could.
Yeah.
So, on this deep level, there was always a deep, this trust, and then on a more superficial level, there's a lot of thoughts and doubts and overthinking.
Right, which naturally as any athlete or golfer, we always have those thoughts running through our mind, driving us crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're all a little bit crazy.
For
But to
sure.
be able to have that, which I think is so important to have that seed, that foundation
Mhm.
of feeling that you follow, is I'm sure what gave you the confidence to continue down that road.
Yeah.
So we have the clip here of your 2011 Kia Classic win and your first LPGA Tour win, and shortly after you started this journey of trusting yourself and manifesting. So we'll watch this. Okay.
Don't think it's a stretch either.
Oh, she's matched it all right. She takes down one of the best players in the world.
What does that bring back for you?
Oh, so much joy. I mean, it was literally a dream come true and something I had been manifesting like
Mhm.
actively, and um it felt so real in that moment, and I there's so many micro moments during that tournament I will just never forget. They're always so etched into my mind.
And I'm sure, I mean, when I look back at clips, it almost feels like it was yesterday, right? When you had those moments and those emotions that you can so
Yes.
strongly connect with again.
Yeah.
When you were playing that round, obviously you have never won before on the LPGA Tour. You're going head to head with Jie Shen, who again at the time was one of the best players in the world.
Mm.
Where do you find the confidence to go head to head with a player like that in an environment you've never been in before?
I made this promise to myself before the week even started, and do you want the long version or the short version?
Whatever version feels best to you.
Okay, so the week before we played in Phoenix and I had a top 10, but I was exhausted. I
Mm,
had, like I said, I was like so much, I felt so much pressure and it just felt just so like not proportionate to the result, how I
mm.
felt. And so I did this really deep meditation. This might sound so strange to people, but I'm just gonna go with it.
I love
I did listen really I just, like, lay there and closed my eyes, and, for some reason, I had this, like, profound, experience of,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, we're all connected to each other," and when I feel stress and I have fear, like, this is, like, seeping into humanity, and so I need to, play with more love and joy.
Mhm.
And I thought the only way I could do it is if I really don't care about the result. So teeing it up the next week at the Kia Classic, I promised myself to not care whether I finished first or last. Like
Mhm.
it was one of those weeks where I was able to surrender the result and the control over it 100%, or not 100, but
Mhm.
much higher than usually. And I really just focused on playing the most amazing shot at a time.
Mhm.
And I just really pictured the shot and I enjoyed it and I
Mm.
really relished each shot. So, a question in that last day, I was trying to do the same thing. Granted, it was like a match play situation, so there wasn't much I was worried about behind us, but it was
Mhm.
really just playing her. At the same time, I was trying to do the same thing I did on day one. And coming into the last round, I said, if I shoot 80, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm
Mm.
gonna commit to enjoying the shot, um, really enjoying the moment. And the energy of the spectators was also
Mhm.
something that I felt like I could give them something.
Did you feel like you were feeding off of that energy as well? Or was it more so you?
It was more me trying to like give something to them because
Mm.
they were very much rooting for GI. It was a very Korean based crowd in LA. Um, so it was more that way. I was a little bit in my bubble.
And that bubble was probably so beneficial if you are feeling that energy of the fans rooting for somebody else. That's gotta be a
Mm.
difficult environment to perform in.
Yeah, I really was just so focused on my inner world the
Mhm.
whole week, like more than any other time, and it was hard to get back to what I did that week in terms of inner focus
Mhm.
versus, outer expectations or scores.
You went into the week not caring about results
Yeah.
or having any expectations,
Mhm.
but you win the tournament.
Yeah.
So how do you process, obviously, the validation and the accomplishment, from the total opposite of what you went in of, "I don't care." How do you then not were you able to allow it to feel good?
Yeah, I definitely did. Because it was such a big dream, then at the end, it felt like this was the result I really wanted,
Mhm.
right? And we had a major the week after, so I don't think I was truly able to celebrate it, but it was just something that I was so proud of always. Yet if you were to truly be consistent in what I said from the beginning, then you could, with more equanimity or more just like not caring, you'd be like,
Mhm.
okay, it's just a win. Let's just continue, right?
Right.
But of course, like
Yeah.
it was just a dream come true.
Right, and as someone who's played golf and chased that dream, and naturally, it's gonna feel good.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
accomplish a dream that you've always had.
Yeah.
How then do you move on with the rest of the season? When you win early on, I can imagine there are some expectations. Were you
Mhm.
able to control those expectations?
I felt like there was expectations the week just following.
Mm,
I think I put them on myself, and then um this was the beginning of a few really good years that you mentioned earlier,
mhm,
but I definitely felt some of these expectations, but I think I was able to more often than not return to um playing with joy.
mhm.
And I think I had a good finish that year. I think I finished second, almost won the tour championship. So I continued to kind of ride this wave of letting kind of golf flow through me, and it was pretty effortless at times.
When did it start to get difficult? Mm,
2016. Um, it was also the year of my second Solheim Cup. Maybe it was the year before, actually, 15. I just felt like 15, I still had a great year. The Solheim Cup took a lot out of me. It
mm,
was in Germany,
okay. Oh,
and I played some of the best golf of my career, but I barely slept that week. I was too nervous to sleep. I think I just like something started to become very draining of that,
mm,
anxious energy always like
yeah.
underneath, even though I just played so great. And then the next year was the Olympics, and I think there was so much preparation that came into it from the federation. And
Mhm,
I think slowly, like bit by bit, um, I was just like burning out.
mhm.
And I think these long years that I've had that were successful, I think I started to have some expectations, but I think I just was getting tired and not listening to my body.
What tools did you have that you were able to use to help process those types of feelings?
I For a number of years, I did qigong, quite
What's
intensively.
that?
It's like a Chinese movement system, like
Okay.
Tai Chi sort of, but not quite like that. It's a very specific kind of type of qigong,
Mhm,
and I would just, learn how to focus on, like, a still point
mhm.
for half an hour, and I would do it
Oh.
before tournaments, and it would really, I think, just really, like, bring my energy down, not up in my head. I would just become really focused, and it really helped me ground. But it was not easy to do. It was like standing in a certain posture. It was not easy.
Mm,
It sounds
for
crazy,
30 minutes.
but 30 minutes. And I think it just was so good for me. And at some point, once I was getting more stressed and more tired, and I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's
Mhm,
just too much. But I think it was a great tool for
mm,
me. So meditation in general, apart from that, like
mhm,
meditation's good. Um, and learning how to focus under pressure when there's a lot of people, when
mhm,
there's nerves, learning how to focus on something that's very minuscule in the moment, um, and not getting distracted by all the noise and all what's going
excellent.
on. So you stay present by having a very simple task during your golf swing.
Mm.
And I think I did that really well, and I really knew what the result of that shot or that focus would be.
Can you give me an example of how that would work?
In putting, I would draw a little dot on my ball
Mhm,
and look at it, and it kept my eyes very still.
mm,
And when your eyes are still, it's like a thing in sports in general. Like the top athletes, when they're in flow, they don't move their eyes. Like when you're
mm,
thinking, you're always moving your eyes,
mhm,
right? But when you're locked in,
yep.
sorry, I keep touching it. Your eyes become very still. So that helped me.
Interesting.
And I would then just kind of focus on like making very solid contact with the
Mhm.
ball and just starting it on this first few inches and just having like
Mhm.
a really nice roll. But I would focus on what I could control is like this first
Yeah.
part of the ball,
And then whatever happens from there, you
and I
just
would
let
just
go.
like, yeah, but I would have so much, like it would be so much fun to just like hit the sweet spot of the ball, and
Yeah.
I would just take that as my focus.
I love hearing the tools that you had used in it. You sound like a very much a field player,
Yes.
very much a
Yes.
field player.
Mhm.
And I can imagine with the success of your career and the length of your career, was it hard to stay true to that feel?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I
Because I
had
know
a lot of
sometimes
people interfere.
right, I was gonna
Yes.
say, sometimes you might have people, "Well, your swing or this club,"
Yeah.
and so many mechanics in golf and technique that
Yeah.
I wonder if it was hard for you to stay true to that feel
It
nested
was.
player you were.
Yeah, it was. There was a lot of times, many times that I let people interfere because I thought that's gonna bring me to the next level, and it really led me down a dead end.
I see it all the time, in my end of my career with the TrackMans
Yeah.
and all the data, and it's awesome information to have, but how do you get to know yourself as a player, and how do you find the confidence to stay true to that when you are trying to improve and maybe listen here or there, but for you, where did you find that core of knowing what works for you?
I think the ultimate test for me was always what works under pressure,
Mm,
and anytime there was too much technical data-driven focus, I could not perform under pressure.
right.
It had to be something so simple that I could trust. I might have worked on the range on data and technical things and it sounded great, and then I would bring it to the course and it just wouldn't
Yeah,
work. It just was like the ultimate testing ground.
right.
And oftentimes I would come back to a rotation of the same swing fields over and over that I had
Mhm.
over my career. They work till today.
Mhm.
This is
Isn't
not
that crazy
yeah,
how that happens?
yeah.
Like, in a career of golf and swing changes and body changes, you go back to what you know works and it does.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you
Yeah,
trusting that
yeah,
can be hard, but
yeah.
you know yourself more than anybody. And one thing that fascinates me in your journey is you mentioned the manifestation. When it comes to your career and your golf, how did manifestation translate to the golf course? We hear it talked about a lot in life. I want to manifest a job or a feeling of happiness or whatever it might be. But in terms of your results or not results,
Mhm.
how did you translate that to the golf course?
I found that it's not necessarily just trying to manifest a certain result. Like I did
Mhm.
definitely, I worked on off the course. I worked on before I won a feeling of what would it be like if I had already won?
Mm,
How would I feel? I'd feel more at ease. I'd feel accomplished,
mhm,
proud. So I think it's a daily practice off the course that you can do,
mhm,
um, where you invite that feeling in and then you stay in kind of a no mind space for it to kind of sink in.
mhm,
And when you're on the course, I think it's the straightest path to manifesting your dreams is to get into some of these like high vibrational states, wholesome states, which are gratitude,
mm,
love, or just being peaceful.
mhm,
Um, but there, I have to say, I think a lot of people think you have to be in this kind of state all the time for 4.5 hours,
mm.
but we don't. We get frustrated, right?
Naturally, yeah.
We get frustrated. And so the key is to not linger in that frustration, but maybe choose like one step up the ladder,
Mhm,
from frustrated to maybe neutral.
mm,
Like that already brings you back into the flow
right.
instead of trying to be like, oh, I'm just like happy. Let's not fake it.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't work.
You can't
But
fake it.
yeah, you can, but you can always choose like a little bit better feeling thought, a little bit better feeling state.
And just slowly shifting
Slowly
from one
shifting.
emotion to
Yeah.
one level up or down.
So I think that's like a key skill for great players, to be so aware of your emotional state and just learn how to shift it.
So you played really consistent for your stretch, and then you started to feel like things were different. And I know you had some injuries as well. 2017 or 18-ish, there was a little bit of a dip in your graph. What was going on during that time period?
I think I literally um didn't listen to my body.
Mm,
And it was like it was crept in over a long period of time.
yeah.
And because I didn't do anything else other than just continuing to practice and play, I
You
didn't,
always did.
yeah, I didn't really take any drastic measures and I didn't change my schedule, didn't change my times off. And I unfortunately, even the people around me didn't really pick up on it,
Mm,
even though it was not their responsibility, but
yeah.
maybe, if someone knew really what was happening, they could have
Right. They could
come in.
observe.
And so slowly but surely my performance just got getting worse and my mental health got worse.
Mm,
Um, because I thought I always had this idea I could push through anything with my mind,
right.
but there is a really like a humility in stepping back and acknowledging that maybe your body can't digest stress as well as it used
Right.
to.
Right. And I know so many times we want to allow our mind and our body to be connected, but there gets to a point where there is a separation, right?
Yeah.
And you have to look at your body as a separate entity.
Mhm.
And is that what you experienced when you started to feel
Yeah,
change?
I think um one of the things is learning to listen to like be truthful, like be honest and stay in balance with your body. And I don't think I had that lesson until then. I just my body just did whatever I told it to do. And all I was working was my mindset and my emotions.
Mm,
And all of a sudden my health started not being well from stress. And
mhm.
I thought I can correct it with my mind. And I couldn't. And that made me even more sad and mad because I thought it's my fault.
Right. And it's almost like a snowball
Yeah.
of just internally
Yeah.
snowballing into a bigger and bigger issue. When were you able to grasp what was happening and start making changes?
In the middle of 2019, I stepped back and just said I can't continue. I mean, I
Mhm.
was at that point had a few health issues and I was pretty depressed. And so I stepped back and I didn't have a plan either.
Mhm.
I just thought I need a break from golf and then everything's gonna be fine.
Right.
Um,
Right.
eh
Magically. We've all been there. You think that it's just, "Okay, I'm gonna start feeling better," but it's harder than that.
Yeah,
It takes work.
it is. So I took some time off and then I came back to competing and um, it just took I think a long time and then it was like still riddled with injuries and I had a surgery in my hip
Mhm.
and that took a long time to come back from. Then last year I played half the season and this year the same thing started showing up on my left hip and
Oh,
I didn't
man.
have a surgery and it's manageable, but I don't think I could be competing,
Right.
full time on tour with this injury even though I'm doing so many things rehabbing it. And I think
Mhm.
your body speaks to you as well.
Mhm.
And so that's one of these things we have to learn as people just or as
Right.
athletes like to listen to your body. um, it's always telling you something, and sometimes
Mhm.
you don't wanna listen.
Mhm, and when you did realize you needed to step away from the game, what perspective were you taking for that time away?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I realized, um, that I can't push through everything, that sometimes that stepping away is a gift on its own, and I think for me, a lot of it has to do with nervous system regulation. So, you can't regulate through being stressed. So, really kind of stepping away and looking at it from a bird's eye view and just kind of calming your whole system um, through many different things is just having like compassion with yourself,
Mhm.
with your nervous system, with like all these years of competing in sort of a high anxiety mode,
Mhm.
which not everyone is like that.
Right.
There's people who are quite chill playing golf, and
Yeah.
I know a lot of them. But I also know a lot of them who play in a high anxiety mode and they kind of, drive themselves into the ground. And
Mhm.
so it's, I think, honoring who you are, and it's not a failure to say, I need to step back.
Right.
Um, because I'm just honoring who I am and where I'm at in this moment. And so now I have the ability to heal and then to say, hey, do I still want to play a few events whenever I feel like it or, pursue something else. And I kept the door open and it's still open.
Mhm.
But I think just giving myself permission um to say it's not necessarily my fault or
Mhm.
it's just who I am and like honoring it and being kind to myself.
I know you did a silent retreat at some point, and you've always been kind of dabbling in that area of trying things out.
Mhm.
What has been, like, a turning point of your evolution of that journey?
Yeah, I tried a lot of different things and have done a few silent retreats. And honestly, I think I had this idea of like being all love and all light, and that's like beautiful and nice and everything. But I think now I understand that I'm just being more and more truthful to who I am, and I still want to be loved, but I understand that love also is fierce and it's
Mm,
powerful and it has boundaries.
mhm.
And it's not just being the nice girl.
Yeah,
And I think I was like the nice and good girl for so long.
yeah.
And now being able to just set boundaries and um explore like all of who I am feels so much more authentic.
Mhm.
And I'm more comfortable in my own skin than I was, when I was just trying to be all love and meditate
Right.
and be nice,
Yeah.
like like there's just more um yeah,
Edge.
more range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love and it's hard to get there without having challenges,
Yeah.
right? And I do think challenges can be a blessing in disguise
Yeah.
to where you're able to explore a completely new side of yourself. Do you feel like your injuries and your challenges in your career have allowed you to explore that within yourself now?
Absolutely. I think in a way I was like this construct for so long, like
Mhm.
playing well and competing and doing well, and then I think through meditation something cracked, right?
Mhm.
And then I almost like fell apart.
Wow.
And I think that's like a door, like it's a door to just healing, like all kinds of deeper things that are underneath. And once you go through that, it's like kind of like a ring of fire. And I think it'll never stop.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think you're so scared of yourself, of you know yourself better, or I know myself better.
And you have a lot of interest outside of golf as well. I mean, you paint, you love to learn, and now you're teaching. How inspiring or how, I guess, exciting has that been to have this new aspect to your life?
It's been a little bit scary in the beginning because I had to like go out and be this different identity.
Right.
And you know how that is.
Yeah, it
You've
can
been
be very
through
hard.
a
Yeah.
few changes.
Yes.
And it's scary. But I do love it. I have such a passion
Mhm.
for the inner work and for everything that goes on energetically behind performance. I just
Mhm.
love that aspect. And I love how simple things can really improve people's games
Mm,
that they are not aware of and they're not talked about very
right.
much. So I've loved doing that, and I've loved having more time to do art, having a relationship, and just being more balanced. I've
Mhm.
loved that.
How does it feel looking back on your years and where you were just so focused on
Mm,
the golf aspect?
definitely not enlightened over here.
Okay. Well, to me, to
Far
me.
from it. But I've been able to enjoy many different aspects of life,
Mhm,
and it's been so beautiful. But I think I needed it at that
mhm.
time period. I needed to.
Yeah,
I couldn't. I didn't have the energy or the focus to be able
to do it all.
to do it all back then.
If you were to give advice to a student or somebody listening, where would you advise them to begin in this journey of being their best self or best golfer?
I would ask them why they play golf, what their real motivation is. I think our whys like tell a lot about us and where we want to go. Tell them to get aware of their thoughts and their emotions. Start to get aware of them and, bring some awareness into where they go automatically
Mm.
and how we can bring them back to more of the present. I think that's the number one skill that we need to have in golf. And then I would definitely encourage anyone to have a hobby outside of golf just to bring some balance in
Yeah.
and some longevity and to take more breaks than you think you need.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, I know, I know.
Because you become obsessive of wanting to be better, and I need to
Yep.
be better, and I need to train more and
Mhm.
longer. And I guess that comes back to the trust you have to have, right? Of trusting
Yeah,
in yourself of what you know you need.
yeah, I think so, and the trust again is I think tied to like how do you think about yourself in response to this world or this universe, right?
Mhm.
So I think if we kind of get some experiences under our belt that we are supported, like if we, if our energy aligns with what we want and aligns with trusting in something greater than us in a way, then
Mhm.
everything becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
And so if we can kind of shift the identity a little bit, from like just us and ego to like, oh, we're part of something bigger and we are supported,
Mhm.
then I think, everything flows. And so touching on that, I think with someone who's younger and having them understand that, I
Mhm.
think would take a lot of pressure off.
You mentioned The Book That Changed Your Life by Deepak Chopra. What are you reading now?
I just ordered 2 new books. One is on the power of the women's cycle and what we can learn from it and how, to navigate it better.
Hmm.
Because I think it's also a huge topic that's never talked about,
Yeah,
women's
so
sports.
true.
At the moment, what fascinates me is bringing some of these things that I learned in golf into real life. And there's so much overlap, but I feel like at some times I am learning things that I knew in golf, but I don't know how to apply them in real life at
Right.
times. And I'm learning, and it's great. Like the concept of where we can be so trapped into our programming
Right.
and learning that we have a choice
Mhm.
and we can influence how we feel about situations and interpret them differently.
Using the
Sometimes we
power.
think we have, like, this is the truth. What we see is the truth. Someone responds in a certain way and we get triggered.
Mhm.
But we have a choice how we react
How
to
to
it.
adapt,
And
exactly.
yeah, that's, I just love it.
The book that changed my life and helped me on the golf course was The Alchemist, and it's not a
That's
s
my
and it's
favorite
not
book.
a sports book. It's, yeah, a golf book. For people listening, it's just such a refreshing conversation that we can have about books that changed our lives and helped us on the golf course, but
How did that book change your golf? Tell me how you applied it. I'm gonna be the interviewer now.
no, it's so funny because I was playing New Zealand. It was early on in the season, and I missed the cut, and I just read the book the whole weekend. I was like, "I love this book. I'm just gonna finish it." So after New Zealand, we then went to Australia, and the book made me feel like I needed to let go of what I was trying to force to happen, of who I
Mhm,
thought I was supposed to be, and everything that I'm feeling, everything that's in my heart, I'm here for a reason. So
mhm.
let it come to me and let it happen. I'm doing what I love to do. Now let the results come to me instead of trying to force it.
Yes.
So I won in Australia.
Yeah.
And so when you tell me that story about the book and the manifestation that you started and you getting the results that you didn't ask for,
Yeah.
but you did the work, it definitely made me
Yeah.
think about how The Alchemist is still one of my favorite books. And in everything in life, like I truly believe like it says in your heart, what's in your heart is there for a reason. It'll always circle back to what's there
Mhm.
and bring you what you're supposed to have in life.
I love that.
I think that there's such a correlation. People get so hyper focused on, like I said, the sports psychology and the technique and the sports world, but it's so much broader because as athletes, we're people. And the way you feel off the course is how you're going to carry yourself onto the course.
Yeah.
So that inner work is so important.
Mm,
And so I
yeah.
love being able to talk to you about your journey. And thank you for sharing all of that. I want you to share a little bit about what you're doing with your golf retreats and how you are now helping and maybe give information to people of
Mhm.
how they could be involved and get the help that they need.
Yeah, yeah. Well, 2 other things I think that are, like, very, important right now to me is my foundation.
Mhm.
I know you played in my event
Yeah.
just a few weeks ago, and so we're growing that, and we're supporting young, athletes and golfers
Awesome.
who need help, whether it's scholarships or help with equipment or, mental health,
Mhm.
all of that, performance. So that's been like really revving up and I'm so excited about it.
Awesome.
And the performance coaching, yeah, I'm doing a 2-day kind of golf retreat. Not kind of, a golf retreat. And so we're gonna tap into meditation and breath work and, playing from your heart and definitely also getting into short game and, more specific course management things. But things like that are going to be coming up on the horizon more often. And yeah, I'm definitely excited to learn more about that part, of my journey and just, yeah, break
Mhm.
through more comfort zones there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what you're providing, I feel like, is so needed in golf because it's hard to find. You can't get that type of
Mm.
training and environment really anywhere else. And for me, it helped me, and I love learning from you, like I said. So thank you for sharing your time with us. Thank you for watching. We want you to be a part of the show. Every other week, we release special episodes built around what you're curious about and exploring in real time. Leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/real game with your questions related to the show or topics you'd like us to dive into. And you might hear yourself on an episode. Connect with us on Instagram at Cheyenne_Woods. And if you're enjoying these conversations, share the podcast with someone else. We're here to grow together.